Hey everyone, thank you for watching StarMorph, where we talk about artificial intelligence and web development. In this video, we are going to cover StableStudio, which is an open source GitHub repo provided by Stability AI, the creators of Stable Diffusion, and it gives us this beautiful web interface for using Stable Diffusion. So we're going to go over two things in this video. First, I will run through a lot of the functionalities that we have available in this GitHub repo. And then secondly, we'll go to the GitHub repo and I'll show you how to deploy your own version of this onto Vercel so you can have your own Stable Diffusion website. All right, so let's start running through and seeing what we have in this UI. So first off, we have this style option, which I believe uses ControlNet, where we can choose what style output visually we want to see when we're using Stable Diffusion. We then have our input fields for both the prompt that we want to generate as well as a negative prompt of things that we want to avoid. So we could put things like, no hands, no text, things that Stable Diffusion often has issues in and we want to avoid, we can put into the negative prompt. Then we have the option to upload an image and do image to image work. And then I love this. We have this slider here to really conveniently choose different aspect ratio sizes for the output of our images, as well as a slider to choose how many images to generate at once. And then really important, we have this advanced section here. And under here, we can choose how many steps we want to generate. So how long is the image being diffused? And then most importantly, perhaps, we have this model dropdown. And this is amazing that not only can we use Stable Diffusion in this web interface, but we have access to all of these models, including SDXL Beta, the new model that Stable Diffusion just came out with, which is what these images I was testing were generated with. So this is really awesome to have the option to use all these different models as well as different sampling methods here. So that's the majority of the main interface to kind of configure the settings. We also have this gallery over here where you can edit the image, download the image, zoom in and see the prompt used and some more details and scroll through the images. So it's really a nice user interface. I think it's very clean and it has a lot of functionality in it, which is great. And then we also have this edit section here that has some kind of image to image editor functionality built in. Great to have this built into an open source repo. This would be a good amount of work to code. So that's really nice. And so that's kind of a quick run through of a lot of the functionality here. So let's go ahead and go over to the open source repo and get started deploying our own version of this again. And as you can see, I already have this deployed at studio.starmorph.com, but we'll go ahead and set up another one. So I'll put a link to the GitHub repo in the description. This is from Stability AI, and it's pretty ready to go on Vercel. So really all we need to do here is just fork the repo. And I'll choose one of my organizations here. Okay, there we go. And now we could go over to Vercel. And we can see StableStudio popped up. Built with Vite, according to Vercel at least. We'll double check that in the GitHub repo. And we'll go ahead and hit deploy. And the only environment variable I believe you need for this is you will need a Stability AI API key, which I've already included here, but we'll go over that in a minute once we deploy this. So while this is deploying, let's just take a look at the README file here and learn a little more about this repo. Okay, so they're recommending Yarn as the package manager, built with Node.js. Here's the mention of the API key. And I think really the key thing here that I want to mention is they are building a plugin system. And we'll see this in the UI in a minute. But this is pretty early on, but I think it could have large potential if this becomes a big plugin ecosystem. So if you're a developer that wants to contribute to open source, I know they're looking for developers, and this could be a great project to be a part of. And also, who knows, maybe we can build some awesome stuff with the plugins that come out soon. So that's one thing to keep in mind here. Let's go back over to Vercel and see how we're doing here. And I'll just reload this video in one moment when this is done deploying. All right, there we go. Our app is done deploying. And now we can go to our deployment. And as you can see, we're not on the same page that we were before. We have this setup page because we're missing our API key. So there's some instructions here on how to get your API key. And then I've already copied mine, paste that in. And now we have this generate route available to go to the main interface. And also going back to the plugins, we have this developer mode option available where we can open up the plugin interface. So once we click generate, there we are. We are on our new deployment of the StableStudio. And why don't we just go ahead and try out an image to make sure everything is working. And also get an idea of the generation time. I'm on an M1 Mac. So it's pretty quick in my experience. Yeah, that was, 10 seconds for one image on an M1 Mac. Not too bad. That's with SDXL. So that is the majority of how to set up this. It's pretty easy, just forking the repo and deploying on Vercel. And it's a great interface. And because it's created by Stability AI, I think it's a great one to get behind because it's, made from the official company. So I imagine that we're going to see continued development of this. And so thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you found this useful. Please like and subscribe if you want to see future tutorials on AI tools. And I will see you in the next video. Thank you.